All right, bam. We're live. All right. All right. A second here, get everything set up. Almost there. Let me share the screen. Try and do a couple things at once, fellas. We'll get there. Like this. For those YouTube, you can see the cover page. For those of you on TikTok, we'll be there in just a minute. A couple little things. And get it set up so I can see your all's comments tonight. We'll try this a little bit for a Saturday. This is a little late, but it's summertime where I'm, and it's beautiful and long days, right? We got a hurricane coming up the coast here in Maryland, so okay, come on, TikTok, why aren't you logging in? Damn it! Give us a second. For those of you on YouTube, we'll get started in a minute. Just trying to get a couple of the other channels logged in here. Oh, come on. Give me 1 second. We're almost there. You have any questions? Always, you can use the chats. You can also reach out through Facebook. If you join the Remodelers Helping Remodelers, you can put any questions you have in there. All right, well, that's all we're going to be able to get in. For some reason, it's not letting me log in tonight into, I don't understand TikTok some nights. Some nights I can get in, no problem. Some nights I can't. It's telling me I've already tried too many times. Let me give it one more shot. Give me 1 second. We're almost there. All right, fellas, welcome. We're going to get started. So tonight we're talking, it's day 13 of the 100-day AI challenge, and we're going to get into what's called the first thing you have to build before you build anything else in your remodeling business. So appreciate you all being here, and here's how it gets started. Damn, we're just having a couple of different issues tonight. I don't know what is going on. Give me 1 second. We've lost some content that we had. Too many tabs, right? Too many tabs. Okay. How's everybody doing? We're getting some people. Feel free to pop in any questions for those of you on TikTok. Any questions you have. If you need any assistance with any deals that you're trying to get done. All right. And day 13. So crafting your strategic plan, right? So look, as a remodeler, it's important to win, right? I mean, the whole reason you got into business, I'm assuming the reason you started your own company was you wanted to win, and whoever you were working for wasn't doing a good job, and you recognized that you could do it better than them. So most likely that's why you started. Yet, here's the reality. Only 3% of contractors actually win. Most go out of business, right? 50% within 3 years, about 70% within 7, 90-some% within 10 years. So it's rare that people win. Now, I'm not saying you don't land jobs. I'm not saying you don't make some money. But when you talk about winning, like, very few do. And the reason why is because you have to execute day in, day out. And you have to stop doing what all the other idiots do, right? So when you go into a lot of these Facebook groups, and everybody is telling you, the keyboard warriors are telling you how they do it, and this is what you do, you got to sit back and say, I don't know, how many of you are really successful, right? I mean, a lot of guys are struggling right now. And if you started your business within the last few years, when anybody with basically a hammer and an Instagram account could land jobs because of the pandemic, and that, so many people working from home, that all of a sudden everybody wanted their business remodeled. So a lot of guys that just got into the business in the last couple of years, they thought it was a piece of cake to land jobs until the last like 18 months. Then all of a sudden they started realizing, whoa, this is a little more difficult than I expected. And now it's the people that are really understand business that are surviving, right? Everybody else is struggling. All right. So with that said, well, let's keep going here. So today I want to help you just figure out a plan, how you do a one-page plan to help you win for the rest of the year. This way, because here's the thing, you got to come into 2026 strong. So if this year hasn't been so good so far, that's okay. What we don't want you to do is to be still burnt out and struggle going into winter, right? Because most guys, their income really starts diving around Thanksgiving, and it's a struggle, right? And then all of a sudden you're broke, your bills get behind, February is still tough, then you start picking up again, right? Tax season comes around, you're busy through the summer, and then you die again. And we want to alleviate that. I want to keep you going on an upward trajectory. So we do that by planning now. Like, you should already be planning and lining up customers for 2026 right now, okay? And if you're not, that's okay, but you got to start. And you got to start looking for customers today that you can move into the winter time frame. If you live in a market where there's winter time, even a lot of people just between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they don't want to remodel their main home or the home that they're going to be having their family at. Now, for those of you that work with luxury clients and they've got multiple homes, that's different, obviously, right? Find out which home the client's not going to be in during the holidays, and you can remodel that. But otherwise, the holidays get tough because a lot of homeowners, they're too stressed out. They got too much going on. So that's why remodeling slows down. So you have to look for the families that go away during the holidays, don't have a big family, don't celebrate at their house. Those are the ones you want to start booking jobs with. And you want to incentivize them and encourage them to consider letting you book their job during your slow month, right? You should be selling now and positioning jobs for this winter coming up, and then that way you can roll right in and be strong going into 2026. All right, so let me ask you something. Would you ever tell your crew to just start demoing and figure it out as they go when you get into a job, or would you come up and say, hey guys, here's our budget, this is the time frame, and this is what I need to do? Like, what I do is I let my crew know, hey, when I bid the job, I walked around, and in the two of you, I would tell my guys, lead carpenter and helper, I said, look, I gave you guys 1 day to get the demo done for this kitchen. And this is what I thought you would do. I thought by noon, you would have this much knocked out. After lunch, you would have this much, right? And this is how many days I've allocated. I tell them the days that they have for the schedule, so that way they can come up with their game plan to match what I estimated and bid for. Now, you need to do the same thing for your business. You have to plan, like, how many jobs do I have to land? What's the profit margin that I need on those jobs so that I have a good budget going into 2026? So most remodelers are just running their business. The business is running them, right? You're just so busy. You're running from this lead to that lead, from this job to that job, from this headache to that headache, that really the business is moving you. You're like the tail. The dog, instead of the dog wagging the tail's moving the dog. And it takes a shift. If you're there right now, don't worry. You can transition out of that, and you can get to a place where it gets better. And you just start correcting like one little thing at a time. All right. We just make small changes, and we get one thing straightened out. And then for the next month or two, you got that figured out, right? And then the next month we tackle the next thing. And before you know it, you're in control of the business. Okay, and then everything starts to change. So here's how, like, when you're young and you first start, you have hustle, but you are going to get tired. You can't out hustle bad decisions forever. Okay. So you need to start coming up with a strategy. I mean, look, just study war, study all the greatest battles in history, and you can start learning how people that plan and execute a plan win the war. And that's what running a business is like, being in a battle. It's a daily battle. There is a competitor trying to take your job. There is a competitor trying to take your employee, right? The homeowner is trying to save their dollars for other things. So if you don't see it like this, then I feel for you, because that's the reality. Now, I'm not saying it's like super violent, but what I'm telling you is it's a real battle running a remodeling business. And there are other competitors that are trying to take your business from you if you're not trying to take it from them. And the only way you're going to win this long term is to have a plan. You have to be like a good general. Just study Napoleon, right? Watch the movie and read some books on Napoleon, and you'll see, as great as he was, he lost when he tried to go into Russia. Russia drew him in. They set up a plan to crush him. They said he's got a bigger army, stronger. They've won more wars, but what we're going to do is draw them into the middle of the country. We're going to starve them. We're going to freeze them, and then we're going to beat them. And they did, because they were smarter. That's what you have to do in remodeling. You have to look, like when I got started, I looked at my competition. Here I am. I'm a single. It was just me. Start my remodeling business. I look around. There are companies doing $30 million a year in my market. And I look at them and I say, what's good about them? What do they do that's awesome? And then I say, what are their weaknesses? And one of their big weaknesses was they acted so confident and cocky that they just told homeowners, we might not get to you for like a year. Right? And they could do that because they had a big backlog. So I would come up to homeowners that wherever they were advertising, I would advertise, and I would say, you want your job done this year? Call us. And we start picking off their clients one at a time, just taking them from them and saying, you don't need to wait for Welsh. You come hire us. We'll get the job done now. You can be enjoying that kitchen before they can even get started. And you just slowly start taking away. That company went out of business. I ended up getting more of their customers, got some of their employees, right? You can do this today. Now, it takes a couple years, but whoever the biggest competitor in your market is, you look at them, you write down what they do good, and then you write down where their weaknesses are, and then you capitalize. And as your company grows, you can take them down just like that. I had two big competitors. I watched them both go under within 3.5 years. And I got many of their awesome employees came and joined my team, and we took a ton of their customers. They went out of business. We didn't. And that's how you do it. You come up with a plan. I wasn't any smarter than them. I wasn't better than them. I had less money than them, but I planned better than them. I wrote down and came up with a battle plan to take their business from them so that I could have it. All right. And that's what I want you guys to do, is come up with a battle plan of how you're going to grow your business a little bit this year, and then you'll stack and grow a little bit more next year. So first you have to start saying no to the wrong jobs, all right? Because every time you take on the wrong job, it ties you up. You can only do so many jobs right now, and they are crucial that you get the right jobs. That builds momentum. And stop chasing the shiny objects. Look, I share everything with you that you need to know to run a business. There's not like these little super secrets. Most of it's just, you got to show up and work hard, and you have to be willing to think differently than all the people around you. That's why they're not successful. Sure, they land jobs. Sure, they have some money, but how many of them are crushing it? Not many. And look, don't confuse being busy with building a business. Just because your schedule and you can't keep it all in your head. And here's what I'm talking about. Some guys, you run a business, you had a couple employees, and you're running around getting materials all day long because you like to be busy and you like to feel like you're accomplishing things. That's not building a business. That's being an errand boy. And you need to hear it. Somebody has to tell you these things, because I used to like doing it, because you know what? I liked going to the store because it was easy. I didn't have to think that hard. I knew where all the stuff was. I could get it the fastest. I'd make sure I bought the right stuff. These are all the silly things I would tell myself. Lies. It's because I was scared to go out and build the business. That's why I was running around, spending my time in the Home Depots and the Lowe's. Don't do that if you run your business. The first thing you need to do is get somebody else doing that so you can go out and tackle the next sale, build the company, get the next job, line up the next job, find the next great employee who's going to come join your team. Okay. That's building a plan. So, all right, that's the trap I want to help you guys get out of. So you're going to use this to build, it's a strategic plan, and you're going to look for 5 things. Okay. First, your mission, right? Why do you exist? What is it that your business does beyond making money? But like, what's the problem that you solve? Why did you get into this industry? Like for me, I got into remodeling because I liked solving problems, and I noticed I was good at solving problems for homeowners, and I enjoyed it. I didn't want to work in a corporate office and wear a tie and go up to the 15th floor on an elevator all day long. I liked being out. I like driving a truck. I like showing up in homeowners' houses. I liked working with tools. So that was why I got into the business. And because I could solve other people's problems and communicate, we could succeed. So think about that. So first, what's your mission? Why did you get into this business? Okay. Like my mission with the Remodeling Academy is to raise the bar to help all remodelers succeed, right? Most of you guys are way more talented than me. You're smarter than me. You're stronger than me. You're younger than me. You should be able to crush this way more than I did, okay? I just don't want to see you struggle like I had to the first few years. Second, what is your revenue target? Like, be specific, write it down. How much money do you want to sell in the next 4 months, the next year? Write it down and make it a little bit of a stretch. Make yourself be a little afraid. Say, fuck, I don't know if I can do that or not. All right. Don't be a wuss and just say, well, I hope to do 250 or 500,000. Whatever. Like I would say, push yourself. You don't know how much you can do until you start pushing yourself to figure it out. Okay. So for a lot of you guys, I would say you want to try to hit 750,000. 1.5 million, 5 million, 7 million. I don't know where you're at with your business. Okay. 30 million, 50 million. These are not unrealistic numbers for remodeling companies to hit. Okay. In my market alone, I can name probably 15 companies that do 30 million a year, right? That is not a huge, it seems like a lot when you're only doing 500,000, but once you figure it out, once you get the first crew to generate 500,000 for you, then you realize I just need more crews and I have to sell more jobs. And then you just start, that's how you do it. All right. What is your number 3? What's your core offer? Like what's the thing that you want to be known for? Is it kitchens? Are you the best deck builder? Do you do amazing like additions? Do you do design build? Are you just a handyman service? It doesn't matter. You just pick the one thing. And when you get really good at that, then it's easy to add the other things. Like, do not put on your business card, we do it all. You want to specialize. Your business card should say, like, Tri-County's best kitchens, right? Tri-County's most modern kitchens. Tri-County's most beautiful decks, whatever. Like, you pick one thing, and that's what you're known for. Now, when you're with your homeowners, once you land the deck job, sure, you can mention to them, Mr. and Ms. Smith, just want to let you know, our first thing that we do the best are decks. Our second thing is we do interior remodeling. We do kitchens. We do baths, right? You can, once you land the deck job, you can say that, but you need one go-to that is all your advertising and all your marketing, and that's it. And that's what you focus on. That's how you're able to estimate jobs very quickly over the phone when you just do one thing. You can call me up for a kitchen and I can talk to you, and within about 10 or 15 minutes, I have a ballpark that I already know where your kitchen's going to fall. I don't even have to come look at it. I just have to have you tell me your style of house, how many square feet, right? What are we looking at? What type of appliances, things like that. And I can give you a ballpark because I've done hundreds of kitchens, right? And that's how you want to get. You don't need to run around and look at this. You do in the beginning when you don't know, but that's why you want to specialize. All right. 4, you have to pick a target market. So who are the best fit clients? What are their demographics? Okay. Age, income, zip codes, their home style, their life stage. Get specific. And this is where you filter out the tire kickers as well. 5, you want to look at the key actions, the KPIs in the business world is what they call them. Okay. These are, what are 5 things that must happen this year for you to hit your goal? For example, maybe you have to launch this paid design session. What I talk about a lot, right, is learning how to get paid. That's what transformed my business. I got tired of giving out free estimates and having the homeowner hire the other guy. And finally, I went in one night to a homeowner's house and I said, that's it. I am telling them that the only option they have if they want to hire me is to hire me for the paid planning design. I will give them a price for the kitchen, but they are going to pay me to produce it. And I sold it for $2,500 for a kitchen. And we turned that into our first $100,000 kitchen sale. And this was over 20 years ago. So $100,000 back then was a big deal. Okay. Today, $200,000 kitchens are happening all the time, but that's inflation and some things like that. Okay. But it all started with selling a design and getting paid to do it. All right. I'm not a designer. You know what I did? I went to my kitchen distributor, the person that I bought my kitchen cabinets from. They had a kitchen designer on staff, and he came out for free to my homeowner's house, and we designed the kitchen. And 1 week later, I had a kitchen design that they paid me $2,500 to complete. And it was free for me to bring the designer out to their house. So think about that you don't have to be the designer. Okay, you just have to know where to get the designer and you bring them to the homeowner's house. You want to get at least about 30 Google reviews as fast as possible. Okay, so if you don't have Google reviews, that's something you want to put down in your action plan. And you do that by making sure that you get good clients. Okay, good clients will love the product. They'll love working with you. And then, but when you're out estimating jobs, you would say to homeowners, Mr. and Ms. Smith, we'd love to work with you. Most of our homeowners that love us, they'll actually do a Google review when we're done. And we're looking forward to having you do an amazing Google review for us when we complete this amazing kitchen. How does that sound to you? And if they go, yeah, we'd love to do that. Perfect. Now, all you have to do is land the job, get the deposit, and execute. And then at the end say, hey, remember when we talked about that Google review? Would you mind writing that Google review today? That would really help us. Boom. And you just start getting, and you stack them. Once you have about 30, good. Things become a lot easier for you. Okay. And some of you are going to need to, in the next 4 months, you got to find that lead carpenter or project manager. So I like the lead carpenter system. And that is a working person that's on site. They manage the job. They wear a tool belt, right? And they do like most of the work. Now, on certain jobs, when we have to bring in licensed subs for like specialty, like electric, plumbing, they don't do that. But on smaller projects where we don't have to have that, yeah, they can do basic electric, basic plumbing. That's what a good carpenter can do. They do all of it. That's why everybody wants to be a carpenter, right? Because carpenters really are like the king of the job site. They run the job. They know how to do everyone else's job, typically to some degree. That's why carpenters are like, the number one thing you want to be. And you want to be implementing AI into your business, right? So you use AI to help you do this plan, whether it's ChatGPT or Grok or DeepSeek, doesn't matter. So you're going to help you figure out your key performance indicators. That's what KPI stands for. All right. So here's how you do it. So you go into whichever AI agent you use and you say, act as a strategic business coach for my business. Here is my remodeling business breakdown, right? And then you explain that you do these things and this is what you're trying to do, right? And you're going to ask it to help you draft a 1-page plan that includes your mission. You put your mission in, includes your vision. You explain to it what your vision is for the company. You explain who your ideal client is. So for me, I'll give you an example. My ideal client is 50 years old, typically married. That could be husband, wife, or same sex, doesn't matter, but it's usually 2 people living in a house. Often they have kids living in the house. They typically have a single family home, one that's at least of $500,000 or more, okay? And that is my ideal client. They are usually professionals. They've gone to a college, so they have an education that they get a nice, and they usually work for some sort of, one of them might work at for the state, maybe they're a school teacher. The other one might work for a corporation. They're usually dual income, right? And usually by the time you're around your 50s, some of them have inherited money from their parents or uncle, grandparents, someone who's passed away. So these people have money to do remodeling projects, and they have usually sacrificed for years with some crap that they didn't like, that they put up with that kitchen for 20 years and they've saved. So now they're ready to get their dream kitchen. So to me, that's my ideal client. I don't know who yours is, but you have to think about who do you go after. And I would say the first person you want to go after is people that have money, okay? And they have been dreaming about doing this project, because now they're not focused on the cheapest price. They're focused on who's going to give me the best result. Who can I trust and is low risk, right? If you watch any of my content in the business, in the contracting world, you have to explain to homeowners, there's the high risk contractor. The lower the price, the higher the risk that they're going to fuck it up and go to court and you're not going to have the project finished. As the price comes up higher, the risk to the homeowner goes down. And you just explained to homeowners, like, let me explain to you the remodeling industry, because over the years, a lot of homeowners have gotten confused. And because they didn't know how to properly hire a contractor, in their mind, they thought I should get multiple estimates and then I should hire the cheapest. And then you explain to them what contractors have learned over the years is they want to come in with an unbelievable cheap price so that you'll hire them. And then they stick it to you. Right? Then you find out that that wasn't included, that that's going to be extra, that they don't have a good crew, and that they don't do good quality work. They suckered you in with a low price. So I explained to homeowners, you don't want to be the sucker. Don't get caught. Don't get lured and hooked on the bait of the cheap price. I know it's hard. You think you want cheap price, but no, you want quality. There's a lot of risk in this industry. The last thing you want to do is hire a contractor and then be in a lawsuit and not have the kitchen for 3 years. Because you're waiting to get this lawsuit straightened out. Nah, And all because you're trying to save $3,000? Come on now, you got like $30,000 in attorney's fees. That was a dumb decision. And now you're embarrassed. You look stupid around all your neighbors and family and friends. They're like, geez, who did you guys hire? What happened? How did this go sideways? You're like, no, you want to make the good decision. And you make smart decisions by investing your money wisely and going with a valued contractor, one who's going to perform and get the job done. So already, you're letting them know it's stupid to look for the cheapest price. And all those other guys that are running around saying, I'll do it for the least, say, why do you think they're saying they'll do it for the least amount? Because they know that that's what you'll bite on. Nah, you don't want that. You want the best contractor, right? So you just language it differently too. Put all of that into your chat GPT and you'll let it know what are my priorities so that I can hit my revenue goal and how do I make sure that I crush it in the next 6 months to a year. Okay, so what if? Now, let's talk your mindset, right? That's the biggest difference between somebody who's constantly hustling and somebody who's really going to start growing the business as well. So opportunity cost. Every time you say yes to the wrong job or the wrong client, you end up saying no to something better. Okay. And I know that's a scary place to be, especially when you're worried, right? You got bills and you haven't had a good job for a while. And sometimes you know it in your gut, deep down, if you're honest with yourself and not drunk, or, you know, like when you're clear mind, you say, damn, we probably shouldn't take this job. This is going to be nothing but a headache. And you don't listen to yourself. Well, you should say, screw that. I'm going to go out and figure out a way to find another client to go work for. Strategic focus, right? Businesses don't die from starvation. They die from like indigestion. What that means is when you have too many half-baked ideas and you got all these scattered offers, you're trying this, you're discounting that, right? You have unqualified leads. When your focus is a mess, you can't grow. When you are laser focused, that's when you grow. We do this, and this is the customer that we do it for. This is the price that we charge. And this is how long it takes us to get it done. That's how you grow. Position. You want to be known, again, for something specific. Don't just be that general remodeler, right? Be the best of this specific discipline, right? Own your niche. You want to be known as the best, whether it's the outdoor living space guy, maybe you build the best decks and pergolas, whatever. You know, you're the best bathroom remodeling on the West Coast. Awesome. Own it. You know, you're the best window company, whatever it would be. And finally, look, don't be afraid to limit your services. Having constraints will give you clarity long term. So think about your vehicles. The more disciplines you get into, the more tools that you have to have, the more training that all your guys have to get into, right? Like just because you do kitchens, if you ever get into baths next, you're going to recognize baths are a whole other nightmare. You can't throw a whole crew on a 5x8 bath. It ain't going to work. You're going to lose money because everybody's getting in everyone's way. You can throw a whole crew on like a 10 by 20 kitchen, right? But baths, usually 1-2 men, that's it. So if you're going to shift your focus and get into a different discipline, you got to understand, well, how am I going to use my resources? What about basements? Now, basements, you can throw a whole crew in. Basements are awesome to schedule in the wintertime. If, when homeowners, look, guys, why don't we do your basement over the holidays? That way we're not disrupting the rest of the house. Basements usually have separate access in and out, right? You can store all the materials. You got to start thinking strategic. And when you start learning, that's how you can grow. That's why you want to be focused on one good niche. All right, so look, the plan, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to exist. Get your first plan together. And for those of you who like to overthink, stop that, okay? Some of you will take 3 months to put the plan together, and at that point, it's useless. Put the plan together in like 3 minutes, 3 hours at the most. 30 minutes is probably a good amount of time to put this plan together, okay? And then you start working off it. And you can make changes. Just because you have it written down or because you took time to type it, it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. But the business owner who knows where they're going, even if it's a rough idea, will always outrun the guy who's just dancing around. Like, for some of you, look at where you are right now. It's 8 months into the year. Is this where you expected to be? Did you have a plan? Did you say, hey, by August of 2025, I'm going to sell this many jobs. I'll have this much money in the bank. Or are you just winging it? Like, here's what I do. I say specifically, we are going to do this many kitchens this year. We are going to do this many baths. We're going to build this many additions. And then come January 1st, we start picking them off. So if I put down 100 kitchens, I know that I need to divide that by 12. Right? And then I want to start picking them off. How many do I need to sell a month? Same with the baths. If we're going to do 200 baths this year or 3 baths, you need to start picking them off and hurry up and check them off. So you got to ask yourself, do you have a plan? So anyway, take 10, 15 minutes, get into AI and craft this 1-page document. If you need the template, get over to our Facebook group and it's in there. You can have it for free and you can start utilizing it. Okay. And then for those of you who want some bonus, if you want some help from me, all you got to do is post in the Facebook group that you've done it. Like, show me a sample of your plan. You can hide your company name, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just if you want to reach out, I can help you with any questions you have over it. Okay, but you got to do that in the Facebook group. And we're gonna have a school community shortly that some of you can get into. That might be easier because I know for some reason some people aren't as big on Facebook. Whatever. So let's see. All right. Hopefully, guys, I hope that answers all your questions. If let me just see. I don't see any questions tonight. Oh, should you go to college or take courses to run a business? So I went to college. Now, I went to college because I wanted to get a degree in business. I wanted to understand marketing and management skills. So I went to college, but I didn't go to an expensive school. I went to an inexpensive state school. It was like $3,000 a year. And while I was at school, I networked. So I got involved. I played I would consider playing a sport if you're into athletics, to meet people, maybe join some sort of a group like a fraternity, sorority, whatever, some kind of a club. If you're going to go to college, you want to use that as a good way to network and meet as many people. Also, if you are going to go to college, you might want to start your business on the side and run it. Like, you could do some painting projects in the summertime, right? Just start getting your name out there so that and build it slowly. You could do some demolition work. You could do some landscaping, right? You might be able to do one basement over winter break. You might be able to do a couple basements during the summer break. So if you're going to go to college, I would utilize that. But at the end of the day, I'll give you an example. The best thing that happened to me in college was I had a marketing professor, and he told the whole group, he said, the hardest thing to do in business is sales. That's why most businesses fail, because people don't know how to sell. They don't know how to sell well, and they look down on sales or think pushing, or they think it's sleazy. They have all these misconceptions because they've come across other people that didn't know what they were doing, and they assume that that's the only way to do it. But when you think about it, the top companies in the world, they've learned how to present their product very well. Okay. So that is what my marketing professor told me. The best thing I could do was learn sales. It's the hardest thing to do. And if you can master that, you'll have success. So as soon as I was graduating from college, I made sure I went and found the top 3 companies in the United States. And I looked who is looking for salespeople and has amazing training. And that's who I went and worked for 3 years. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that, but I'm going to tell you this. That first company I worked for, I had to memorize a 16-page sales script, and training started on Monday morning. If you didn't have it completely memorized by Thursday, you were fired. Done. You're not sticking around. They brought in 65 people for that training, and 30 of them did not make it through the training itself. It was 6 weeks training. And at the end of 1 year, I believe we had less than 10 people still working at the company that went through that out of that 65. So that just gives you an idea of what it's like out there. So you have to be committed. Right now, they give you the script ahead of time. You have 2 weeks before you come to the training to memorize it. And you have to take flashcards. But this 16-page sales script is what I ended up customizing and creating one for remodeling specifically. It took me time to do it. It took like 10 years, but eventually I got it down to where I had that sales script. So anyway, that would be my answer to you about college. If you go there, make the most of it. You don't need it per se. Nowadays with YouTube, with a lot of the courses that people like myself have to offer, you need to put your time into that. You got to remember, when you go to college, a lot of your time is spent goofing off, right? You might have like 3-4 hours of classes a day, right? And then for every hour you're in class, you're usually supposed to go spend another minimum of 1 hour studying. Okay. But most people don't do that in college. Most people just wing it. But if you're going to go, I would suggest considering just getting to a community college first. Do that for the first year or two, get all your general prerequisites done, and then maybe pick like a bigger school so you can go and network really well. And that would be my thoughts on it. But you don't need it. It does help. It helps you build a network. But a lot of people, it's just a party. Most people go to college for a 4-year party, whatever. Like if that's what you want to do with your life, awesome, have at it. Like there's no better place to do it than go to a good college. I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions. Guys, I don't see anything. So thank you for being here tonight. We'll be back. We're here every day. Let me see. Yeah, that's all I see. So, all right, you guys so we're a little over tonight for the time. Have a great night, and we'll be back another time. Take care. Thanks. All right, for those of you on YouTube, so look, if you're not a member, or if you should get over onto TikTok. I mean, we have like as many as, I don't know, 300 people. So TikTok is a good place to be. Whatever. The only difference is you can't see the screen. So for those of you on YouTube, you do get to see the screen that I'll share. But otherwise, if you have any questions, hopefully you found this helpful, please reach out. You can always go to our Facebook group, Remodelers Helping Remodelers. We might be changing the name soon, but that's what it's at right now. And hopefully this helped you. Have a great night. I don't see any comments right now on YouTube. So, all right, guys, take care.